Well, a lot of people think the C8 Corvette is overpriced and unobtainable. However, let's look at an 84 Corvette in today's money. It might surprise you. Well, welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. Happy Monday evening or Tuesday, whenever you're watching this. I'm not sure when I'm going to get it uploaded. A couple quick updates. My C8's been built. It's just waiting to be delivered. Hopefully next week I can drive up and get it. I guess fly up and get it and bring it back. I got about 18 videos so I'm waiting to do on that car alone. Between comparing that to a C5, it'll be stupid. Reactions to my wife and my sister, let them drive it. No shortage of things to come for the C8 and modifications down the line for that. And yes, I am keeping the C5Z behind me. Well, today I thought it'd be fun to calculate the inflation for every single generation at Msrp and see what they would cost in 2022 money. And actually a lot of fun doing this little video. I learned quite a few things too. And doing this, you can really see where you're over the last 70 years. The Corvette has such a long lineage to it. You can really see in the US economy where we kind of dicked up a little bit and where it was pretty strong and where it was pretty weak. So it's kind of cool. The C3 really surprised me from the start to the end. And we'll get to that in a few moments. And also the cost of living, or wage, if you will, has no real correlation between the cost of a Corvette between C1 and C8, as you'll see. So here we go, starting with the C1 Corvette. All right, the C1 Corvette's pretty quick and dirty. Ran for 8 model years from 1953 to 1961. The average MSRP on a C1 Corvette was $3,500. And in 2022 money, that's about $40,000. So honestly, that's quite a bargain. That's 35% less than a brand new C8 now, which is pretty nuts. But again, the C1 was its own thing. They didn't know if it was gonna last. It was just a sports car to compete with Ford, and they had no idea the lineage they were starting. Also, quick little side note, my dad, he bought a 1959 Corvette in 1961 when he was in the Navy in Hawaii, and I want to say he paid $1,900 for it, which is pretty crazy. He kept it for about 5 years and traded in for a Chevy Nova. Quick little fun fact. All right, the C2, arguably the best looking Corvette ever made, which had the shortest run from 1962 to 1967. Very attractive car, and of course there'll be pictures here to go along with every generation I'm talking about. Its inflation was pretty linear. It was pretty small. No real outside impacts bothered the C2 Corvette. The average cost of a C2 Corvette was about $4,200, and in today's money, that's about $40,000, which is a crazy, crazy bargain if you think about it. C1 and C2 are pretty much on par with very small inflation growth, but it's there just a little bit. All right, the C3 Corvette. This is when things get crazy within the car community and the economy, because this was the gas crunch. A lot of Vietnam was going on, a lot of supply chain issues similar to what we have now with COVID. So yeah, you see a huge separation of cost between the 68 and 82, which is nuts. Yeah, the C3 had the longest run at 14 model years, which is a lot for a car. So in 1968, the first year of the C3 Corvette, you could scoop one up for about $4,600. And in today's money, that's about $39,000. And again, that's a pretty good deal. Now, fast forward to 1982, still in the C3 generation, and that car starts at $18,200. Between 76 and 81, there was a huge inflation. These cars went from about $6,000 to quickly about 13, and then 18, all about 3 or 4 years. Pretty nuts. So in 1982, an 82 Corvette would be about $56,000. It's a little bit less than the MSRP of a current Corvette. My personal opinion, the C3 being my least favorite Corvette of all Corvettes. I don't hate them. If I ever get one, I like the earlier C3s, the 68 to the 73. Just the body looks a little better. As they approach the 80s, something about it just seemed off to me. I don't know what it is. Just the early C3s look more like a classic. All right, C4 Corvette, another generation that had a very long lifespan of 12 years. Not quite 14, but pretty close. Now, in 1984, you could get your hands on a brand new revolutionary C4 Corvette for about $21,800. And in today's money, that's about $62,000. Now, you gotta remember the C4 was revolutionary, kind of how the C8 is. The C4 totally transformed the game from the C3. It actually made it a circuit racer contender. And the price increase, some would say, and I would agree, it was justified with all the new tech that came with it. Looking at it now, almost 40 years ago, it's I wouldn't say laughable, but the tech's, it's aged. It is what it is. So fast forward to 1996, so last year the C4 Corvette, and that sticker was $37,000, and in 2022, that'd be just north of $70,000. So about 5 grand more than a C8 is today. And so far, the most expensive Corvette based on the economy and inflation. All right, the C5 Corvette, which ran from 97 and 2004. This had an average MSRP of just over $40,000. And in the late 90s money, that's equivalent to about $73,000 in today money. And that just slightly edges out the C4 as the most expensive starting Corvette to date. The C6 Corvette, which ran from 2005 to 2013. This car, if you're not familiar, is very similar to the C5. It used almost all the identical underpinnings. Mostly the outside was changed. Some of the steering and suspension geometry was tweaked just a little bit, some interior refinements, if you will, but overall, very similar car to the C5. And the average MSRP of the C6 over its entire run was about $47,000. Now, back in 2009, that equates to about $65,000 in today's money, which is very on par to the C8 starting price today. And again, this is an average of all the models. I'm excluding the super rare models like the 01s, the C4 01, the C6 01, and the C701 because they made so few of them just to skew the numbers, so hope that makes sense. All right, the C7, which went from 2014 to 2019 at an average MSRP of $53,000. And in today's money, that's about $65,000, which is exactly on par with the C8. All right, so the C8 Corvette, which came onto the market about 3 years ago, and when they first released, you could pick one of these up for $59,800, which is a freaking steal. That is amazing. I couldn't believe it when they announced that. It was hard to get at that price. You had to be on a list, or you're going to pay a huge markup. But the first year, you could, in fact, I believe the second year too, you could get one for just under $60,000, which is crazy. But fast forward just 4 model years, the 2023, and it's $65,500 starting. That's 10% in just 2 years inflation. That is nuts. But still, that's an amazing deal. Even a C8 in base form, starting at $75,000, I think it is an amazing deal. It's just crazy. I still can't believe it. However, if the C8 stays on the same trend with its inflation numbers, this could outpace the C3 as far as inflation goes. These things by 2029, if they're still selling them, could easily be starting at $95,000. But who knows? All right, guys, that was just a quick, fun little video. I thought it was interesting. Anything I missed or dicked up, please let me know in the comments below. You always do. And also, if you watch the channel, my C5 bushings are complete. This thing drives phenomenal, like a brand new car. It's crazy. It's hard to describe how a car feels with brand new bushings and suspension components, but it feels like a brand new car. It feels like how the car should have came from the factory, probably a little better. I highly recommend doing bushings. Shit job, but cheap and totally worth it. And again, both of those videos are on my library like 2 or 3 videos ago. So awesome, awesome upgrade. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. I'll catch you guys in a few days for something else on the C5Z. All right, guys, mark out.